Pop quiz, gents. Is this guy dressing his age? What about this guy? Or this gent right here? Is he dressing age appropriate? Now this guy right here, I'm digging the look. But the question remains the same. Were any of these guys dressing their age? Gents, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Over the last decade, I've come to the conclusion that dressing your age is complete bull. Seriously, there are so many better ways to approach your personal image.
Wait a minute.
Now, some of you guys may be thinking, Antonio, don't you actually have videos that teach a man how to dress his age? Yes, I do. And in fact, I've got articles over at my website, realmenrealstyle.com, that actually are titled How to Dress Your Age. So then, why did I create that content? Because that's what men are searching for. That being said, if you get into that content, you'll understand we're actually addressing a different problem. My point here is if someone's looking to dress their age, what they're really searching for is, how can I put together an outfit to enhance my life by improving my presentation? So with that being stated, let me be clear. Dressing for your age is not the best way to achieve this goal. Nope, there's actually 7 better style strategies to take to ensure that your outfit enhances your personal presentation. What are they? Well, gentlemen, that's the subject of today's video. Now, I think it was Noobmaster69 who said, 80% of style is having 6-pack abs. The other 45% is being rich. Now, I don't 100% agree with Noobmaster, but it is easier to look good in your clothing when you're in shape and you've got the resources to pick new pieces up. But how do you get there? Especially if you're not rich, but you want to start eating better, but you don't have the money for a personal chef? Seriously, eating out and eating healthy is expensive. And then cooking things from scratch, yeah, it's going to be healthy, but who has the time? Well, gents, that's why I'm introducing you to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. They've got a whole team of gourmet chefs that create meals using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Now, what I love about Factor is that you can skip that extra trip to the grocery store. All that time you spend chopping, prepping, and cleaning up, gents, Factor saves you all that time and you get a nutritional, quality, great tasting, flavorful meal. Gents, all you got to do is heat them up and enjoy, and you can get back to crushing your goals. When it comes to the food options, they've got tons of them. If you're watching your calories, they've got calorie smart meals that are around or less than 550 calories per serving. Let's say you're trying to pack on the muscle, you need more protein. Well, they've got protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. And if you got a bit of a sweet tooth, you want a liquid meal, check out their cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. Seriously, gents, every time Factor sends me these are the first things to go. My kids love them. I love them. These are a hot item in the Centeno household whenever Factor makes a delivery. And what I love is they're constantly changing up the meals depending on the season. In fact, you go over to their website, you're going to see over 30 options when it comes to their delicious meals. Guys, you're smart enough to know that you can't outrun a bad diet. And when you're not eating out all the time, Factor is going to be a much better deal on the wallet. And speaking of a great deal on the wallet, go to factor75.com and use the code RMRS50 to get 50% off your first box. I'm going to put that link down in the description of today's video. Use that code, 50% off your first box, so you can try it, you can see for yourself how good Factor is. Now, before I get into those 7 strategies that are better than dressing your age, let's talk about why people think they need to. First up, societal norms and expectations. Now, depending on your culture, what country, what society, what circles you travel in, there are going to be certain societal expectations as you age. A lot of this just has to do with traditions, the way things have always been. As men in general age, we're expected to kind of take on a role of a mentor, to look the part, to dress a little bit more conservatively. But the reality is, in this modern world we live in, the societal expectations, I think, aren't as strong. And in this information world where you're able to pick up styles and looks that you actually like and may actually serve you better, I don't see an issue with an older man experimenting, having fun, and actually discovering his style a little bit later in life. Or for a younger man to buck the trend and say, you know what, I want to go a little bit more classic conservative in my style. Now, what about setting an example? As an older guy, that's often pushed on you, and I see the point, but as long as your morals are straight, who really cares how a person dresses? In fact, you could be an inspiration because you could be setting the tone, you're getting into streetwear, and you're inspiring your grandsons, you're inspiring your nephews to actually, hey, start paying attention to the way they dress. Now, what about unwanted attention? So there's not really much you can do about people staring or looking or maybe saying things behind your back, because if you're going to be different, if you're going to stand out, there will always be naysayers who just feel threatened by somebody that's breaking off from, the crowd. Now, the next reason a man should consider dressing his age, and I think this is actually a really good one, is that your body changes. As many of you guys know, as you get older, your hormones start to change up. Maybe you're producing less testosterone. All of a sudden, you're losing a bit of muscle. You're gaining a bit of fat. Now, of course, there are ways to keep this at bay, from exercising, eating right, to hormone therapy. If this is happening, that your body is changing, then I can see why certain types of clothing are just going to suit you better. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Next up, let's talk about priorities and wealth accumulation. So as you age, naturally, we usually see older people starting to accumulate a bit more wealth, and their priorities start to shift in focus. So instead of caring about the brand, you're more caring about the quality. So all of a sudden, yeah, maybe you're not buying designer t-shirts anymore, but you're looking at that higher quality sunglasses because you can simply see better wearing them. And by the way, the wealth accumulation and frugality, it goes both ways, because a lot of people realize that, hey, if you dress in a more classic conservative style as you age, you don't have to buy new clothing. You can actually buy a sports jacket, buy a pair of shoes that could serve you for 20 years because they're timeless. So now let's get to the meat of the video. We're talking about the 7 style strategies that are better than dressing your age. First up, focus on fit. So if you've watched more than a couple of my videos, you guys know that I love to focus in on fit. It's at the top of my style pyramid: fit, fabric, and function. But I think if you take nothing else out of this video, being able to focus in and make sure every piece of clothing you buy, anything, it fits you, not only your body shape, but also your personality. Because the reality is, you can go out there and buy a $2,000 suit that's ill-fitted, and it's not going to look as good as a $200 suit that is fit to your body and cut correctly. In addition, you could be a 45 pretty darn casual guy that has a casual lifestyle, and that suit, even though it may fit you, doesn't fit your lifestyle. So that's not going to look great on you either. You need to find something that fits your needs, that fits your wants. Now, the first tenet to getting proper fit is to understand what it is. I've got these great infographics right here. I will link to them down in the description of today's video. Most of them apply to formal clothing, but I've also got some casual clothing fit guides as well. The point being is, when you buy properly fitted clothing, it complements your build, no matter what that will be. And we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. It just takes a little bit more effort, maybe taking that clothing to a tailor to get it adjusted, and understanding what can get adjusted and what can't. Now, the second part of fit goes a little bit deeper, and that is actually finding clothing that fits your lifestyle. So what I would recommend is looking at the pieces already in your wardrobe that you love and that you wear the heck out of. Pieces of clothing you already get compliments on that make you feel like $1,000,000. You want to look to either replicate those or to upgrade those items. And when I mean upgrade, I mean you could buy a similar item, but maybe you're going to go with a little bit better fabric, a higher quality brand, so it's going to have a tighter weave. Maybe you're going to go with something new. Get a few of them. I know for me, I just have uniform pieces that work and suit my lifestyle. The next style strategy I want to talk about is focusing on comfort. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about you giving up on life and wearing pajamas everywhere. No, what I'm talking about is finding an outfit, finding a uniform that makes you feel like $1,000,000. Finding those outfit combinations that the clothing fits you well, and it just gives you confidence every time you put it on. It is like a modern day suit of armor for you. You see, a lot of guys confuse something being unfamiliar with being uncomfortable. Whenever they're wearing a suit, whenever they're dressing up, because they do it so rarely, they're not used to something touching their neck. So they're not used to a collared shirt, so they want to go back to their t-shirts. But if you have a job, if you've got responsibilities, if you want to up your style, nothing frames a face better than a good looking collar. So find a way to bring it into your wardrobe and give it a week. Give it a little bit of time. Maybe buy a little bit better quality cotton so it doesn't irritate your neck, and then all of a sudden you get used to it. Now, when you get used to something, all of a sudden it doesn't bother you anymore. It's not uncomfortable. It is now familiar, and you start to get the compliments. You appreciate the overall way it brings your outfits together. You maybe start to bring in a sports jacket. You bring in some nice shoes. You find ways to level up your wardrobe. Again, maybe it's really a casual look, but you bring in a really nice accessory, things that all of a sudden give you a little bit. There's a great story maybe with that watch. For me, this one was traveling to Japan with my son. So every time you wear it, it makes you, just remind you of those stories of where you've been and who you are. You see, comfort with clothing isn't just wearing a hoodie with jeans, and that could be your uniform. Nothing wrong with that. But I am saying, think through and all of a sudden make a uniform familiar that sends the signal you want to send, and that's the type of comfort I'm talking about. The next style strategy would be to focus in on the dress code, wearing clothing that is appropriate to the situation. Now, some of you guys may be saying, well, my company doesn't have a dress code. If that's the case, you could show up naked or a ninja warrior, whatever it is that you want to. I mean, yeah, you want to do that. You enjoyed dressing up as Spider-Man as a kid. Why don't you do that? Because there is an unspoken dress code that if you dress like Captain America, we actually had a guy in our town doing this. I mean, to me, he was the only real guy that was being honest with how he wants to dress. So many guys want to do this, but no, we are constrained by society. We care about what other people think. So there are dress codes, whether we accept it or not. So knowing this, and within those constraints, make sure that you've got outfits that, again, you've got a uniform, you've got go-to clothing that makes you feel great and fits within the confines of the limitations that you have placed on you at this point. And really quick, to make this video fun, I want to hear down in the comments, who would you dress up as if no one would judge you? You'd love their outfit. Maybe it's Wolverine, Gambit. Anyone a Gambit fan? I was a huge fan of him. So I had this idea that if I could just mix the powers of Spider-Man, Gambit, and Wolverine, I'd be the ultimate superhero. But I do have a Superman outfit I'll wear for Halloween. But point being is, who would you, maybe a ninja? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Now, the next style system that's better than dressing your age is dressing to your personal style. Now, like the last point, there are certain constraints, but if you own your own business and you can dress however you want. Have you thought through this? So many people, again, say that t-shirt and jeans and running shoes. Yeah, well, look around. Everybody's wearing this. Look during the summer. Everyone's wearing a baseball cap with those cargo shorts. Are you? Yeah, we're all caught in a fashion, this, what the box stores are selling you. So if you have the ability to truly wear whatever you want, how would you actually dress? Now, I get it. Some of you guys don't want to embarrass your families. Maybe you do have certain more constraints than you like to admit, but can you level up your style? And this is, I think, where it's really exciting for a guy is when he realizes that he can dress well and find that it's incredibly comfortable, that it works with the seasons. He gets rid of the hoodie, starts bringing in a variety of different sweaters made from cashmere that are incredibly soft. All of a sudden, women start wanting to touch him because they're, everyone is drawn to cashmere to touch. Point being is it starts to open up doors. It starts to open up opportunities. You feel better, you walk better, and that's what I love to see. When you start bringing in your personal style, maybe you don't want to wear a necktie, we'll throw in that pocket square. Maybe you want to have a little bit fun with flashy shoes, bring in some Jordans, half sneakers, whatever it is, make your style your own. The next style system that's better than dressing your age is dressing with versatility. Now, I call this the interchangeable wardrobe, but it's the idea that you can own less clothing and you can get more miles out of it. Now, the way it works is that you want all items in your wardrobe to be able to work with all the other items. You should be able to walk into your closet blindfolded and be able to get dressed, and everything should still work. So all your shoes should work with all of your shirts, should work with all of your trousers, should work with all of your jackets. And what I love about these combinations is you could have 16 pieces of clothing, 4 of each of the items I talked about, and you could have a total of 256 total outfits. Now, one of the keys to building an interchangeable wardrobe is to think about your colors in blocks and not to go overboard with patterns or with different, shapes or colors. You don't want to go with anything overly bright. All of a sudden, it becomes less interchangeable. Something with really crazy, wild patterns is harder to match. Keeping it simple, when I look at my wardrobe, the majority of my shoes are going to be in variations of browns, so that's pretty easy right there. My trousers are going to either be dark jeans like denim, or I'm going to have a wide variety of grays. When it comes to shirts, most of them are going to be blues, whites, combinations and patterns thereof. And with my jackets, blues, browns, and greens. The next style strategy, better than dressing your age, is to build up a wardrobe of timeless, high-quality, classic items. These are going to be the essential menswear pieces that have been around for decades. Some people think they're boring. I love these because most men don't have them in their wardrobes, and what you have to love about something that's been around 30 years, guess what? It's probably going to be around another 30 years. This is called the Lindy effect. What the Lindy effect states is how long something has been around, that's how long it will continue to be around. So if something has been in classic menswear for 75 years, guess what? Most likely it's going to be in classic menswear for another 75 years. So when you're out there spending your precious money, I know a lot of you guys are very limited on funds, you can actually spend more on a piece like that, knowing that it's not going to go out of style, that you will be able to get use out of it for the next decade or two. I also love this focus on timeless style because you can go back and watch older movies. You can go and look at men that were well dressed in a movie from 2010, from 1990, from 1975. You can say, you know what? I like the way Robert Redford, the way Cary Grant is carrying himself. And you realize that he could actually come out of that movie from like 1960 and look amazing in 2023, 2025, whatever the future may hold. You know that that style is going to look good. And you could actually imitate that style. You could have the exact look Brad Pitt had in the original Ocean's 11, and yeah, maybe get the fit a little bit better, but have a little bit of fun with this. You're imitating a style which has been around and has resurged. You see, that collar outside on the jacket lapel. Hey, that was big in the 1970s. I know not for everybody, but it also goes back to the 1930s. And if you know your history, you can wear it with a bit more confidence. Now, gents, in case you haven't figured it out, all the style strategies I'm talking about in this video, they're not meant to be used in a silo by themselves. They're actually made to be used combined. And by doing this, all of a sudden you can become the man you know yourself to be, the best dressed man in the room. And to make this video a little bit more fun, I've got some challenge coins I would love to send your way. Leave me a great comment down below of how you're using this information, your inspirational story, or simply how you like to dress. I talked about a little bit earlier. Let me know. I want to hear from you guys. I'm looking for some great comments down below. All right, gents, so for this next style strategy, I saved the best for last. This one is so much better than dressing your age. No, what's the best style strategy? Guys, dressing for your body type. Gents, we've all got a body type. Part of it is natural, it's your bone structure, but also part of it is where you pack on the weight. Are you putting muscle on the upper body, or are you having a little bit of weight, a little bit of flotation device around the midsection? Now, I know a lot of us are working to get in better shape, but the reality is you got to dress today for the body you have right now. So finding clothing, wearing items that suit your body shape is going to be key to looking your best. So how to do that? Well, gents, I got you covered with this video, boom, right here, how to dress to your body shape. In this video, I go into a lot of detail. Guys, I want you to look your best. So go check out this video. It's a solid one. I'll link to support material that will make this really easy if you want to dress your best depending on how your body shapes. So go check it out, guys, and take care. I will see you in the next video.